of it is the fact that you have those banners, you have those abilities to kind of customize what people see you as, and especially because it highlights who the champion is at the very beginning, you have that opportunity to kind of show the uniqueness of yourself and kind of show a little bit of pride.
And not only does that happen, like, you know, whenever you're going down and you're trying to save somebody within your team, but also within the game itself, right? Like, as we see out in the distance there is actually one of the banners hanging on the wall going, here is your champion of this match currently at this point in time, the kill leader. So if you truly are, you know, kind of flexing on some nerds at this point in time, you can really customize that and make it, you know, be very boastful and proud of your banner.
Yeah, especially as the game kind of gets a little bit older and people start to generally understand what those things mean. I know a lot of times you can look at it and be like, oh, that guy's got a lot of badges. I don't even have that many badges yet or something, you know? But like as we get to like, wow, he has what is it, leave no witnesses, which is get a win with killing, and no one that you knock is ever revived or respawned at any point. It's a pretty cool badge to get, and it's like, wow, I'm scared of this champ.
Yeah, it is. And one thing I did want to bring up when we were talking about some of the crazy supply ship stuff that were happening, right, where you end up getting knocked off and things like, one character that has such an interesting dynamic with those is the Pathfinder, with having the opportunity to use his grapple to get back up. It's just one of those early game plays that I want to see one of these streamers bring out. It's my favorite. He's my favorite character in the game, and one of my favorite moves to do into the early game is just, you know, bait the jump off into a nice grapple, and we'll see if that comes to light here.
The character that was cut at the last second from Into the Spider-Verse. He was the only one that didn't quite make it in there, Mr. Pathfinder.
Couple little shots there coming out of Sacriel. Now the balloons is, and you know, we can kind of take this opportunity to kind of break down, you know, Apex Legends and how it varies from different Battle Royale games as a whole. A huge component of that is the way that you reposition in this game. You don't have to just press left shift and sprint your face off. There are balloons, and they have them strategically placed around this map, so you have these opportunities to actually rotate yourself around and go and to get to different parts of those named locations a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and those balloons really, I think, rid of any fear of walking simulator you've ever had in a Battle Royale. You know, it really does kind of remove that opportunity and makes everything very action-packed and very mobile. And it doesn't just stop at the balloons. You know, I hate to talk about my Pathfinder a little bit more.
Is that what today's going to be like, Dreadnought?
It's not going to be. I promise. I will tone down my Pathfinder hype train. But he does have a great zip line along with Wraith with the portal capabilities. The team can provide mobility along with said balloons.
Well, and I mean, I think that's something that Respawn kind of really kept at the forefront of their minds when they were creating this game, is adding different levels of mobility that isn't just holding the W key.
Yeah.
Not only do you have the balloons, you've got Pathfinder, you've got Wraith, you've got all these other mobility things with the actual abilities of the legends themselves, but you've also got a lot of verticality of it as well. You've got the vaulting system, they can climb up walls. You've got repositioning of my favorite character, Mirage. He's got an ability, you can see Sacriel actually doing it on a screen right now, mixed in with a little bit of Bangalore smoke as he tries to revive his fallen teammate, but now,
really clutch there to be able to drop the aid and actually focus on trying to get the kill, even within a smoke. Very chaotic. Awkward, though. The door getting stuck onto the chest, leaving him vulnerable. But the res does end up coming out there. And I think that's another thing that we have to highlight that's very different, is rezzing. It doesn't just happen as a, oh, you're knocked, oh, you're out. If you completely get killed even after getting knocked, you can still be brought in to Apex Legends.
When they had the interview on the launch trailer, the big Twitch launch event, it actually ended up, that was the thing, is we can't be called Respawn if you don't actually have a respawn mechanic in the game. So they actually made these banners have that opportunity, and they actually made it where it's more user-friendly. So something that I mean, not a lot of players actually know is you don't have to be the one that revives your teammate at a banner if you are the one that picked up the actual respawn thing itself. Your teammate actually can run, so you can go get the respawn banner. Your teammate can already go ahead and go to the beacon and go ahead and get that revive at the same time. And that's something, and it's some of the little things that Respawn is putting in this game to add extra levels of not only skill, but more importantly, just actual playability.
So the Kingsmen here, I think they got 2 squad wipes out of that. I'm pretty certain they got them. So their first points on the board. And Sacriel right now is just a pinata of shields.
Yeah, that feels really good to have that many shields available, because at that point, you know, generosity, share the love over to everybody, make sure everybody's got a reasonable amount of shield capabilities. Shielding, no surprise to a majority of people in all games for the most part. More effective than the healing, just because every one of the shielding cooldowns is a couple of seconds shorter than said healing. And so it's nice to be able to get those off. But right now, the fact that we see purple armor on Sacriel essentially sets him up to have 200 HP as his maximum capable HP. So So he's going to be a beefcake to try and bring down.
And for those of you, of course, that are newer to something like Apex Legends, and you look around and you see these different colors, you see the white, the blue, the purple, the yellow if you're really lucky. What those are, that's different rarity levels for specific things in the game. The biggest importance of it, especially with what you see happening right there, is the armor as well as the helmets. Now, of those, each of them creates a little bit of damage reduction, so that gives you an opportunity to be a little tankier. So yeah, you have 200 health with the shield as well as what you have with your health, but it adds extra levels into it because of the damage reduction that it provides for you.
And on the time to kill that we were kind of alluding to a little bit earlier here, that is coming to light as Sacriel receiving a bit of pressure, was that I was going to highlight is that the ammunition within the game, I think, is part of the reason the time to kill. How much ammo every gun can hold if you don't get the upgrade for the stock itself, right? If you don't have the opportunity, or excuse me, the magazine, if you don't have that, a lot of the guns can struggle here. For instance, we do see the R99 with an increased light and an increased light within a scout. That's helping 5 extra bullets, which may lead to a knock in situations like this for Sacriel.
And I think that kind of helps out with a lot of the streamers that we're seeing as well, because you think about Sacriel. While Sacriel, you know, yes, he is skilled, might not be known as this just like pro FPS player.
Yeah.
He's extremely smart. So if he finds himself in a situation where someone gets the jump on him, he has that ability to rotate himself around because those TTKs are a little bit longer and has more opportunities to outplay people. And that's essentially something that, you know, as opposed to like a break, who's just going to outshoot you 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, and you know, as you know, I'm not going to sit here and lie whatsoever. You know, I'm humble enough to say that I'm the guy who's bad enough when I'm shooting that I need those extra clips, which is where I learned how relevant they were. I went from not killing anybody to like, oh, hey, I managed to finally get a kill thanks to the extra bullets there.
And that just also shows as well how important the looting system in it as well is, because, you know, I talked about earlier, you've got the different rarities for your equipment. That also counts with magazine sizes. You can have that opportunity to get larger magazine sizes. So if you're potatoes like all of us sitting on the couch, yes, Caleb, I'm grouping you in with us. If you're potatoes like us on the couch, then you actually have more ammunition to actually fire off at people.
But I mean, even the pros pick up the extended magazines. They like the room for error, you know? There's no shame in needing more bullets.
Room for forgiveness is always good within gaming here, as Sacriel shows no forgiveness here, merciless, as they're just slaughtering.
It is more, I think it is more important in this game to thirst opponents than it is ever before, because reviving is so fast.
Yes.
So there's so many ways to get people up, and even after you've downed people, you can get an insta-revive. There is an object you can get that allows you to revive yourself, and if you just like, he's down, I don't have to worry about him, he might be coming up behind you.
No, I think that's a really great point that you bring up there. And mobility is extremely high as well, which allows for that rezzing and other capabilities to be that high impact. And I also want to bring up the fact that since we're talking about loot and how important the looting system is, that's one of the greatest elements that I would argue is in Apex Legends compared to every other battle royale that you see, is the looting system auto swaps upgrades for every gun rather than dropping them on the gun that you have, as long as you are picking that up with whatever gun you have selected. So it makes it a lot easier to go, hey, I have all these dope attachments, let's get it onto this gun I actually want.
And I think that's something that it kind of aids in discussion. It's something that's been happening in video games for a really long time, is when you add features of simplicity to the game, what does that do for the game? And I think that there's so many complexities of actually playing the game that doesn't have to do with the loot system, that Respawn made this conscious decision of, let's not put the mental strain on trying to quick swap and move and do things. We're going to make it where it automatically upgrades for you, so you can actually focus on the things that matters, which is rotating around and actually doing, which is something that is, you know, very specific to this game in general, is the abilities that each of the legends have.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up there. Just the whole idea between the developer and whether or not you want the player to be focused on that, or, you know, again, the overall core gameplay there from Respawn.
We know that Dreadnought's jam is Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Jump, who's your go-to legend?
Oh, I'm going with the guy that Sacriel's playing right now. I am nothing but a Mirage main.
What makes Mirage special?
What makes Mirage special? When the game came out, I played 2 games, thought the game was awesome, put in $20, bought both Caustic and Mirage, clicked Mirage for the first time, and the first thing that he said was he talked about how good his hair was. And if you know anything about me, I love good hair. And so I told myself that I was going to be a Mirage main, and that's the end of the story.
Mirage fed your vanity, and you said, he's my boy.
Hey man, Respawn had to speak to every level of player, and even the slightly
Here's the thing, though. Like,
Obsessed with hair once.
there's a lot of games, a lot of shooters that operate in kind of a character style of like, here's a bunch of different characters, roster of characters, and oftentimes they start to feel bland pretty fast. I have loved the personalities in this game. Mirage is a great example.
I am so happy to hear both of you say this, because if you know anything about my personality, most people more often than not go, Dread, he's kind of the robot. He breaks down the game. He cares about what the game elements are. And it's so funny because I played 2 games as Wraith, immediately swapped to Pathfinder, and it literally took 1 grapple, and I was like, this is it. This is my main. I have never found a character in any game faster than I found Pathfinder. I was just like, that's it. I'm sorry, boys. If you wanted to play Pathfinder, he is the love of my life.
Yeah, and I actually had a great opportunity yesterday to sit down with some of the guys from Respawn and actually have a conversation of some of the philosophies behind that. And that was actually a huge component when they actually talked about this game. You know, 2 guys that I definitely have to shout out is Griffin Dean and Stephen DeRose, 2 of the character designers for Respawn themselves. They created the characters, they created these abilities, one, to have a story, to have something that players could actually tie to, but more importantly, they're not creating abilities that you're just clicking and winning with. They're more of what they like to call augmentations. So they're definitely bonuses, they're definitely something that you can have out, but they're not something that is going to completely win you the game. You still have to put the mouse cursor and click their heads.
Well, here's an update. So we got a bunch of teams playing here. We were talking about Team Pog, the Russians.
Yeah.
Guess how many kills they have?
I'm going to go with 15.
22 right now.
That's one way to start it off, boys.
They are absolutely slaying out.
Establishing dominance on the territory.
We love games here.
And look, one of them's playing a Pathfinder as well.
Gotta love it. Pathfinder really is interesting, though. One thing, though, he does have a lot of mobility and utility. What I would argue, straight up lacks is the ability to have a short-term cooldown that's effective within a teamfight. His ultimate is not effective within teamfights. It's an escape or a rerouting tool, and it redirects. Same with his grapple, but on a personal and more limited level.
But I think something that makes Pathfinder really good, and I think it's something that we were talking about a lot before, is Pathfinder is a fantastic legend from the preemptive standpoint, preventative measures.
Yes.
He has the ability with the sensor radar to rotate early because they know where the next ring is going to close in at. He has that ability to move his team across the map with the zip lines, and that's something that for that specific character is great, but with 3-man squads, it's only one of the strategies that you can employ.
Yeah, it's so crazy to be able to see it. Oh, that is a huge win.
Can we talk about this gun for a moment?
It is disturbingly just, good. I mean, you just point it to the head, and no matter what the armor, it is almost always going to be a kill.
It's the only gun in the game that is a one-hit kill with if your opponent has full armor. 125 on a body shot, 250 on a headshot, and even with a gold helmet, which gives you essentially 50% damage reduction on the bonus damage that you provide, it's still going to hit for 200. You're still going to end up being sent back to the lobby.
If you are good with the Kraber, there's about only 2 words that can fall out of your mouth after that point. It's either see a nerd or PogChamp, like one of the two, because you are just absolutely dongling on these kids.
It's got a nice, pretty blue skin on it as well. Lots of great cosmetics that we've seen so far. His R99 has a I think it's a legendary skin. I wish I knew all the skin names. Don't know all the skin names.
It turns out if you memorize all the skin names within 1 week, I would be in awe there, Waypunk. That's a level of memorization that is.
I love my in-game fashion, but that is a level of memorization I have not achieved yet.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm not gonna. I know one, and that's because I bought 20 Apex packs yesterday and only pulled 1 legendary, and it was a Gold Dragon G7 Scout, and that's the only reason why I remember it is because I was very angry for a long time, and then I was like, I got a legendary.
There we go.
One thing we do know at this point in time, though, it's important to highlight that not only are we looking at a very late game circumstance, we don't know how many members of the other squad are alive, but there was only 2 past.
It's a good point. We haven't really addressed the game situation they're in right now. They are currently in the top 2. One other squad, and they're away from you just gotta get 1 squad wipe to get 5 points.
And considering how much armor the team has, everybody's sitting on a legendary or at least I believe that's going to be epic there with the purple rarity. That is amazing for them at this situation. Right now, we see the squad, they are very, very well set up to probably walk away with a W.
And this is actually something that's really cool as well, because you have the hit markers that show the colors of the armor that they have, that completely changes the potential strategy as well as, the Kraber almost ends up getting down, but it gives a little bit, it gives just enough vision for Sack Sackgirl as well as the rest of his team to find out how many players are actually left alive. There's one confirmed, 2 potential more members left alive, so they still have to be careful.
Yeah, and keep in mind the high ground advantage here for the other squad, but all 3 flanking from different angles here for Sackgirl and friends. This is a very interesting approach here. None of them have the mobility tool to actually get up there whatsoever, except for there's a natural grapple on the side, which, considering the opponents are on the high ground, they should be expecting that flank here.
And it's a great opportunity as well. I do like the fact that they are flanked out because they don't have any idea how many players are actually left alive. By keeping themselves spread out enough, it runs them into the potential disadvantage of them actually getting a good angle on them and being able to spray all 3 of them down.
Weird advantage they also have. They already have won, I think, 1 fight, maybe 2 fights in this exact location in this game. They already were familiar with this terrain. They're already thinking about this terrain. For all we know, their opponents just got here and are having to size up the land once more. Fighting on top of the skeleton.
Yeah, and you can tell that's one of those 2 grapples. The one on the right-hand side was a Pathfinder.
Oh,
no! Yeah, Sackgirl falling off there.
Hey, there's no fall damage.
Again, one of those small things that is in the game that you will note very, very quickly. Hey, no fall damage. And,
they found him.
Oh, baby. There's one.
Woo!
Can he lock down the second? Are they going to go for the execute? Looks like that's the case.
All right, looking for the flank.
Let's go.
Yep, so they were able to take one down. They also know a Pathfinder's alive as
There
well,
they
but they're able to get it. Bada bing, bada boom. They're able to get the champion. 5 points down to Kingsman.
And they had, looks like about 14 kills there. So we're going to check in with Forsen's team, the Nordics. Let's see how things are going for them. Currently 8 squads left in their game.
Yeah, considering tempo, at least of the last one that we got out of Sackgirl and friends, you know, it's not like they're behind, but clearly the gear circumstance a lot harder here for Forsen and friends in the Nordics here. They're going to have to struggle there, along with the knock opportunity here. The skirmish, this is a very wide open part of the map, not that much cover, so it's going to be hard to be able to get recover as we see the punches coming through. The Peacekeeper, one of the best shotguns, very low fall-off damage there as you see the great knock.
Got to be careful, though. Both of his teammates are down. One is awaiting recovery, so you do have a certain amount of time so you can get that respawn banner. Big one is down, but that's going to be a Peacekeeper to the face, and he's going to be able to hopefully revive his teammate.
He has the hop-up on the Peacekeeper. Going to get the last one. One more. There he goes. Oh, this is another squad rolling in. He's got 2!
Hello?
Horse of the monster! But they do die.
But Koa, oh my gosh, Koa almost there with the Peacekeeper as well. You know, guys, I'll go ahead and throw it out since we got this skirmish. I think it's pretty well known. The Peacekeeper, it's a notable gun within the world of Apex Legends.
But more importantly, when you throw the precision choke hop-up, you are literally just doing pellets from a long distance range. You almost feel like you're playing old school Quake or something like that.
Yeah, for real.
I think that is the best way to describe it. It's like railgun-esque. It is a long-range, massive nuke.
I want to jump back over here with Team Pog, who I believe completed their massacre of a game. They finished with, how many is this, 29 kills? They have
in one game?
Won, right? That was 29 kills in one game.
They had to have won.
They have to have won that game. But I believe they also have already played one game where they did not win at all. They died immediately. So here they're into game 3.
That's still 14.5 kills per game. That's a pretty good average if I'm considering
it. And there is no limit to how many games you can play. It's how many games can you play in 4 hours, no shame, just dropping in, being like, hey, we didn't get any loot, let's just reset as fast as we can here.
And, you know, not considering that it's them within that is over half the population. That is a 60-man drop. And considering that 3 of them are their team, they can't kill them. That is over 50 of the kills available, 50% of them they were willing to take there. So very impressive there coming out from that squad.
There they got another wipe. Starting off this game hot.
Turns out shotgun ammo in Russian is actually a lot longer than I thought it was.
Almost everything is a little bit longer.
In Russian. That's a good point.
These guys are pretty crazy. We Love Games, nice variety streamer, does a lot of stuff. He just built an Asus Republic of Gamers rig on his stream.
Nice.
And it was, I went and watched a little bit of it. It was the prettiest PC building stream I've ever seen. Like, nice depth of field and lighting and everything. Usually it's like, this is the thing I do in between my actual streams. I'm building this PC and I might as well show you guys. It was actually quite a nice thing to watch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The last time I did anything PC building related on my stream, I spent 3.5 hours building my first ever PC that I ordered all the parts simply for it to not work.
Of course.
For the first like 45 minutes.
So it's so funny. I built my, you know, just very recently, one of my first PCs ever too, and the same situation happened. I was going to be like, wow, I'm impressed. 3.5 hours. It took me a lot longer than that. And then build it. I got lucky. Somehow the first time it turned on, I was like, I don't think this thing should be functioning.
It was like the saddest thing in the world because I had people there, they were supporting me. They were like, this is awesome, this is cool. And then I pressed the on button and I was just sad for 45 minutes.
So We Love Games here is playing Lifeline, and she just popped 2 ultimate accelerants. Now, why would a Lifeline pop 2 of those in a row?
And that would be because I believe it's 20% of your ultimate is given by using an ultimate accelerant. And you might be going, well, then why the Lifeline? Well, the Lifeline's cooldown on her ultimate is very, very long. So getting that 20% helps so much for her. But more importantly, it's extremely high impact. That's why it's such a long cooldown. It brings down a essentially care package for your squad that has some very, very high tier loot that is always a trade-off for the team.
There's almost no downside to calling it down immediately and getting her to start rebuilding the ult. Because once she has it, you're not able to, like, there's no rollover charge, you know. So you just want her to get as many ults as possible to get your team as geared as possible.
And I think that this is something else that that we can kind of build upon when we were talking about kind of the support utility style. A lot of players, when they come into this game, the first thing you think about is I want to play these offensive characters. I want to get a lot of frags. But it's just as important to have players on your team that are playing those utility characters like the Lifeline, like the Pathfinder, or even the super defensive characters like Gibraltar and Caustic, because those different playstyles are viable in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a big point, especially when looking at somebody like Gibraltar. I think with having essentially he has a 30-second cooldown on a bubble shield that lasts for 15 seconds. So a 15-second downtime on a very good territory and zone control capabilities, especially in the later stages, can help out, and they can synergize well.
And is there any way to pop his shield?
I don't think so. So from what I've tested and learned so far, no, there's no way. It doesn't matter how many bullets you throw into it. You throw a grenade, it's going to bounce off the top of it. The only way is you pray that grenade slides in before it actually hits the ground and deploys, and he's kind of stuck to his own terror.
I got into a fight recently with a team that had a Gibraltar. We downed one of his teammates. He throws the bubble shield on top of the downed teammate and then calls his ult on top of his bubble shield. And we literally sat there like, oh, he gets revived. There's nothing we can do. We can't go through the ult, and we can't shoot through the shield. So good job, man.
Yeah. He also has a really interesting, when Gibraltar aims down sight, having the shield, it gives him a lot of trading capabilities a lot of other characters wouldn't.
So we're on board with Macatao.
I also just want to talk about the fact that I believe he's like Samoan or something like that, and so his accent is like fantastic.
And his ritualistic dances and stuff.
He references the haka and like everything he does.
It's so cool, man. Like when he moves forward into the camera and does that like sweet little pose in the slow-mo, every time I'm like, oh man, I want to be more like Gibraltar.
He's absolutely lovely.
Well, and I think that's something else. When again, with the conversations that I'm talking with the guys over at Respawn and figuring out, what exactly this thought process was. Apparently, when they first thought about having this game, decide if they want to, or what they wanted to do, they were testing it with the Titans because that's what everybody knows.
Yeah.
But then they took a step back and they said, no, everybody loves the story of Titanfall. Everybody loves the environment that this is in. So why don't we actually just give an opportunity to get people more invested into the universe, into everything? And so that's where they started coming up with these legends and showing the personality, because all of the 8 that are created, someone is finding some sort of relevance with all of them.
I need some legend for their ult just to be to call down a mini Titan. I need that to be a thing. Like, how cool would that be?
I mean, you want to break the game, or?
I just want a Tone walking around with me. Bam! Like, oh man, I miss Tone.
Those are one of those things that, like, I feel like in my brain, I'm always like, oh, I would love thematically to be able to do that in a game. And then I go, like, from a balance standpoint, like trade-offs, and I'm like, yeah, probably not.
Come on, there's got to be a way here. Macatao lining up the shots, taking them.
Pretty good there with a scout. Probably one of the lower damages when looking at a sniper rifle. It's single fire is the only capability within the rifle. Just in case you're wondering, why is he not doing Kraber damage like we saw earlier?
It is very accurate though.
Yes.
At about the 150 to 250 meter, or sorry, the 50 to the 200 meter range. It does have that great opportunity. So yes, it is light ammo. It's not doing as much damage, but if you're a good shot, then it does create those opportunities to lay down some really good cover fire. In that instance, it gave him an opportunity for his teammate to throw some extra. He's able to loop around, pops out the heavy ammunition used flatline. They're able to pick themselves up some kills.
We'll jump on with Team Salty Sandwich. We'll see here. Here's the team leader, Jim Panzee. Fantastic username.
I want to know what kind of sandwich you ordered at deli. That's salty.
A salty sandwich? Like a Reuben or something?
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere around that. Yeah, that's
kind of corned beef, salami. It's just straight salami. Just in between 2 pieces of rye. I would never order that sandwich. That sounds little.
I think I'd order it, but I don't know if I'd be able to take it all down there. But that being said, I'm probably not, kind of, for lack of a better term, bred with as much salt as this squad.
We got Maloney and also Mayo rounding out Team Salty Sandwich.
So again, trying to get some extra position because the mobility of this game is a lot higher, both with the sliding as well as just the opportunity to use behind themselves a lot of the obstacles. You don't have to go head first into a fight. A lot of players in a lot of other BRs feel that, you know, sometimes, all right, we just need to run straight at them and hold the W key down. No, the great thing about Apex Legends is you have that opportunity to get yourself a little bit of a flank, to get yourself a rotation. Now they're able to do that by clearing through these buildings and seeing if they can pick something up.
And they find the kills.
Yeah, and as this moves on, too, considering some of the members that they have on the roster of this team, it puts them in a really good position because they have the Gibraltar for the bubble shield, we have a Caustic, and then we have the Bangalore there, and all of them have smoke screens and traps to zone off around the bubble shield between the Gibraltar. So if this gets a late game,
well, no,
they're going to be primed and ready. But I think the key word there is if they get to the late game, and right now it's not looking like that's the case.
Come on, dude. He can do it. Oh, he's getting shot from so many directions.
Yeah,
this is
so
rough.
much pressure.
We believe, Mayo. It's not going to happen there. But that team comp is like AoE central. Every single ult does AoE damage. Bangalore's ult is massive.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of times I've gotten hit by Bangalore's ult and then tried to run out of it, and I just, like, couldn't find the edge. I'm like, where is the edge of this thing?
It also has the panic factor.
Yeah.
If you're going against the Bangalore and you see those artillery strike things just come down, it's kind of those, kind of moments. I need to get the heck out of
I
that.
need to get out of here. And so you start to run, and then it's like, oh, I haven't gotten out. Where is the edge? Or maybe if I run this way, oh, this isn't the edge either. What's happening? And then you just get hit with them. I'm back on board here with Forsen.
They do a really good job, though, about because they actually give you those kind of like 3D rendered knowledge of where both grenades as well as the artillery strikes and things that are coming down are. You do have that little timer that goes, how far do I need to run until I'm actually out of range?
Yeah.
So Forsen just picked up legendary armor. Tell me what's special about legendary armor, because it doesn't look like you got any more health.
So legendary armor provides obviously the highest amount. Epic and legendary armor give the same amount of damage reduction, but more importantly, legendary armor in this, or legendary things in this game, whether it be backpacks or armor itself, actually gives you something extra. So backpacks, they have the fast heal opportunity. There's all these different little like mini perks that you can get with legendary armor that makes it much more viable than something like an epic.
Yeah, the legendary armor gives it, he said this one was an executioner. It's if he finishes somebody who's downed, the armor recharges mid-fight.
That's what I was going to say. Can we talk about execution?
The finishers for a second?
Yeah, so when you knock somebody, you have the opportunity to walk up to them and just have just the Mortal Kombat finisher, right? Like just that absolutely style on them, and it is so satisfying. Everybody has thematically, you know, something that kind of goes along with their character, and it is so cool. My favorite has got to be Mirage's. The spinning, you know, kind of like Michael Jackson kick like to the face is so sweet.
It's like a hot Bangalore, like shoots you, like hits you in the head with a smoke grenade, and then like beats you in the face with it.
Pathfinder just goes ahead and grapples you, pulls him to his fist, and just gives you the sweetest punch you've ever seen. It's amazing.
I love that Cola's wearing a Houston Astros hat.
There's people to our left as well.
The wrong team from Texas, in baseball, if you're asking me, but that's just the Fort Worth native speaking.
It's 27.
Current team leaders, Team Pog, that 29 kill game helping a lot. They're up at 37 points. Team Nordic's right behind.
So something that you saw him do, as well as something that you'll see a lot of other players do today as well, is actually this like really cool trick that they're learning, and I haven't quite figured out yet if it's something that Respawn actually wants in the game, or if it's something that they're going to end up like taking out at one point because of the mobility it provides. But you can actually, if you go up into the balloon, somebody on Reddit actually explained this really well, and you're able to look straight up right as you launch. There's a way that you can actually manipulate the game, so it ends up doing the little floating hovering thing, which actually doesn't drop you in vertical height, but does able to get you past certain areas, and so you can glide farther.
You look straight up, and then if you engage free look immediately, which is why you can like look around, your character will kind of stay pointed up, and you can still drive with WASD while looking where you're going.
Yeah.
And every time you go over an obstacle, you'll kind of boost back up into the air, and you can get significantly more distance out of those redeploys.
Yeah, and if you failed to do that, which probably many of you at least first attempt at home may do, you will not fly upward nearly as high. You'll kind of just hover a little bit in those zones, and it definitely can set you back.
Dude, Molly did not miss. He got him like 3 times in a row with the Peacekeeper.
Did he have a choke on the Peacekeeper? That's the one thing I was wondering at that range.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did. And he's actually got the...
I think he has a hop-up as well.
The tried and true combination that you've seen almost every Twitch streamer employ, which is the Wingman Peacekeeper combo.
Yeah.
Where you've got the dinking nature of the Deagle in this game, or the Wingman, which has heavy ammo, which you can also add a Skull Piercer, Skull Crusher piercing hop-up onto it to do more damage, and it's just...
So this spot in bunker is one of the scariest scariest places to fight because it's one of the only places that like is the longest choke point in the game. There is nowhere to go.
Yeah. Unless going out. It's actually extremely difficult to kind of skirmish through, and he's going to actually push for the cascade side of it, make it all the way through. Seems like whoever, you know, they were kind of tussling with decided that a bit too intimidated. As you see, the legendary that you see on his secondary is the, I believe, Digital Threat is the name of the weapon, and it does provide within a close range a small highlighting of the enemies, which you see. That is the only reason why they're kind of outlined within that red there.
Yeah, but Respawn did a really good job when they created this as well. They actually don't have this for any sort of your assault rifles. They didn't give this opportunity because it'd probably be pretty broken if you had a fully automatic weapon.
I mean, it's broken now. He's just killing kids.
But now it does give you the opportunity where if you're very good at clicking heads, Wingman's going to do it for you.
Yeah, and the Wingman is so good because body shots, like I believe at like 200, has so little damage. It's 45. Like it is so insane. So consistently, you don't even have to be, you know, an ace when it comes to shooting. That being said, headshots are always going to be better. But like, you know, even if you're, you know, kind of a pleb like myself, just pop a couple into the chest, and the odds of you trading up are very, very high.
Right now we can see he's currently on the Bangalore. We haven't talked about Bangalore much. How does Bangalore work?
I mean, Bangalore has a 15-second cooldown, 2-stack Q, which is a smoke grenade. It's very, very useful when, for instance, characters like Bloodhound, which is also on this roster, to be able to use his ultimate and see through it. It's just a very good disengage and initiation, and then ultimate is a massive nuking zone, which we've been talking about here all day.
Finished. No, not that that wasn't a finisher, by the way, but that character was definitely finished.
I want to see who has the confidence to even go with the executions at a situation like this, because I think it's important to highlight with the executions, there are trade-offs. If you take any damage, the animation will get canceled, and it will put you in a position to...
And there's no way to cancel it yourself.
No.
Like, you can see them coming, and they can just walk up to you, just hold the Peacekeeper down, and take you out. So it's definitely kind of a cocky move, but it's quite flashy.
Yeah. Once you kick it off, you know, you're about as invested as Leroy Jenkins was. You know, there's no way out.
He is...
I mean, his dingle is, or excuse me, not dingle, but his Wingman is disgusting. He's
amazing.
Just legitimate.
He's a kill leader.
I mean, smashing here, and then able to get the revive on top of it as well.
So Jump, what does it mean to be the kill leader in one of these lobbies?
So kill leader is literally about as simple as it can be. If you've killed the most people in the game, you end up being the kill leader, which gives a really cool opportunity for you to kind of, you know, flash your skills and show it off, which is something that, again, you know, Respawn has put it. You talked about it a little bit earlier, Dred, in the sense of you have the banners of the team that's currently in the lead, or the champion team that finds themselves in the most advantageous position, and it's just a way to show you're off and, you know, have a little bit of uniqueness to things.
Koa, go over and find a banner. I want him to look up and see himself. It's such a cool experience to look up and be like, everyone in the lobby is looking at me if they look at this thing.
Yeah, it is. It is very empowering, and I think it even goes beyond just looking at the banner itself. There is almost no feeling that just gets your brain going better than you pop off in a fight, you get a couple of kills, you're like, okay, squad knocked, I'm getting the res. You're feeling good about yourself, but then you hear you are the kill leader, and then you're like, oh, dang right I am. I'm ready to go.
Well, and you also have the legends that actually give verbal cues when you become the kill leader as well. Like when the champion goes down, all of the legends have some sort of voice line and something. So not only are you thinking it, but the game actually verbalizes itself to you. So you're like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it definitely strokes the ego a little bit there. And at times, especially within FPSs, I feel like that confidence to just walk up and be like, I'm the better shooter than you in these moments can really pay out, especially for members like Koa, who has been doing that constantly here with this Wingman.
Absolutely fantastic. He's live on his own channel, folks. Definitely go give him a follow. Everybody who is competing in this tournament is live right now. I'm going to go check back in here with Team Pog, our current leaders. They're dropping on in. You can see the Jump Master feature of the game.
Yeah, I thought that's something I wanted to point out here, because that is also very different for anybody who hasn't looked at Apex Legends. You might be going, well, I don't want somebody else to control me. I don't want to be a part of this three-man squad. I don't care who's jump laning. You can separate at any point to be your own kind of, you know, agent if you want to be, and be able to. It's really good to pretty much just stick together as a unit, get to a location, and then go, okay, split up for the loot, so you all have your own little territories.
The 200 IQ play is to separate, you know, a little ways away from the drop, so you don't all land on the exact same chest, you know?
Yeah, you know, 3 guys to 1 supply chest is usually a bad time, especially when it's just triple.
I got a sniper stock, guys. I'm ready to go. Oh my goodness, he just melted him with RE45.
Gets the res in the downtime. It should be noted that because he only got a knock on that other target, they will be able to ping in that downtime to show where he is to the team.
Going for it. Come on, finish him. Finish him. Oh no! Finish him! Oh, okay. He finished him. He's dead. Got them all.
believe that's going to set now here. Makata, I believe they're sitting at what? Only, I guess only 1 kill, at least for him.
For him,
oh, it's early in the drop.
Team, so.
Nice little.
More people. Airbase is hopping right now.
Airbase honestly is one of the probably better loots for early hide kind of drops, no matter what randomness happens within the map, you know, within the supply ship and things like there. My goodness, using the Bangalore smoke so well here, and you know, even more surprising considering the Bangalore smoke isn't his team's. I mean, he's just using the opponent's misplay.
And Airbase is also a safer drop spot because it's so spread out. You don't find yourself in those kind of like tight corners where in reality, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are. If you're in those tight corners and somebody's able to get a better jump on you, then you find yourself in a rough spot. But Airbase, it's so spread out, you have so many opportunities, and you can rely on your shots at the mid-range to actually get yourself out of that place alive, which, as we just saw, that 1 kill turned to 4 pretty quickly.
Yeah,
he's now the kill leader in the lobby as well.
There's only one, like, if I was to give, you know, a quick tip on Airbase drops that you should not do. If you know there are other tangles, you see that zip line there across between the 2 pads of the Airbase, it's just, if you drop from that, you're dead. That is one of the few places in the map that actually has quote-unquote fall damage. If you're out of bounds, right? And so just don't take that unless you know you're safe.
Interesting note, though, if you fall out of bounds and die, your teammates automatically get your banner, and they can go still respawn you.
Today I learned.
I actually did not know that.
I learned that because I fell off a waterfall at Relay.
I wish I could say I haven't embarrassed myself as Pathfinder flying off the map a couple of times. You know, one grapple too far, and you're like, whoop.
You try to create that. You try to create that Twitch clip that was circling around where the guy's grappling in circles before he ends up finishing the guy off. Cool. Yeah, I've definitely tried that a couple times. Like, I can use the momentum, and then it's like, yeah, no, you're not.
Finding the long-range taps. These guys have no shields. The Wraith.
And this is with a longbow. A lot higher damage when it comes to the sniper. Not the highest in the game, but one of the better ones outside of the rarity of things like the Kraber. So expect, you know, especially if we see more upgrades on that, higher damage to the headshot capability, but instead now transferring out to a couple nades to keep pressure on the back end of that rock.
Oh, he's finding damage with the thermite.
He actually got him with the nade.
Oh, he did get him with the nade.
Yeah, he was able to. Yeah, he was able to get him with the nade. The kill feed on the top right.
Can I find him? One more. Finished.
That's going to be
dead.
And it looks like somebody else cleaned it up, right? So
Makatow used to be an industrial gas mechanic. He also used to work professionally as a DJ.
He's not a classic name?
He served, yeah, right. He served in the Russian army, which is just about the most intense thing I can think of. Like, the place that you're not allowed to invade, yeah, I was in their military. I live here, you know?
Yeah.
Intense guy. He's also sponsored by Russian Papa John's, which is so much cooler than American Papa John's.
I want to be sponsored by Russian Papa John's.
Yeah,
right? Real Papa, get out of here. I want the Russian one.
Now I just want to go home and watch like Russian Papa John's commercials and see what they're like. I just picture
it's
like
a bear making pizza.
No, it's just a delivery driver like making this like trek through the Russian like winterland to somebody's cabin, and
he's
like,
riding a bear.
I have your pizza. He's riding the bear.
Team Hog still up on top. Look at that, 48 points, but Team Main coming up from the back. I believe Team Main is Gotaga and Mikolau, as they have been climbing the ranks.
And we still have a lot of time left as well. 8 kills, or 8 points rather, doesn't seem like a whole lot, but one win, and then definitely a pretty kill-scored lobby could give you a good opportunity to get yourself back ahead.
Yeah, I think we, you know, kind of set the bar maybe a little high with the fact that we have seen a 29 kill round already, right? And so I think it's easy to consider any. Oh, that was such a beautiful drop. Honestly, I'm surprised the fact that Lifeline did not sense that. He gets the reload. He goes for the punches. This guy isn't afraid of anything.
He didn't want to have to reload, and his teammates show up, finish him off. Up to 5. There's still 10 squads left, and just Makatow has 5 kills.
And his facial expression didn't change. It was like, he kind of like wipes his nose, like, it's fine. We're just gonna, you know,
another Tuesday
more.
At the office.
Yeah.
Only 15 kills this game.
That was ridiculous. I mean, it is pretty common due to the ammo circumstances, right? If you don't have that upgrade, you do run out and you are close enough to maybe go for the punching play. But in that situation, based on some of the UI elements with the shielding you were talking about before, you can kind of do the math on, is this even reasonable to go for the punch knock in that situation there? But having a teammate close by, it works out here.
Team Main's last game, they had 21 kills.
Yeah.
So some people are racking them up right now.
Yeah, and I think it's just important that though we do have some of these very successful early games, to note that like as long as you're getting, I would argue, past 8 or 9 kills within a game as a squad and finding a W at the same time, you're probably doing well, right? Like not every round you're going to find, I found all 20 people.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
Team Nordic's just racked in a 28 kill game. These guys are absolutely pounding right now.
That's what happens when
Pretty insane.
when you have a game that hits the market as hard as what Apex Legends does. It's one thing to get hit by a caustic trap in the middle of your face. but no, these guys, every single one of these streamers have been grinding this game away. It's been out for 7 days, and I guarantee you they've put well over 50 hours in this game already. And that's why you're seeing these lobbies be able to end up the way they are, because they're clicking heads well, they're understanding the fact that the TTK is longer and they need to reposition themselves, and they're just understanding the way that their legends need to be played.
Now, Macatau here is playing a character that looks like they can deploy portals. Tell me about Wraith.
Wraith is really interesting. One of the, better kind of iframes, if you will, within her Q capabilities to be able to run away from the fight for a short period of time. Not the best in terms of dodging opponents. It's visually not a full, kind of invisibility. But mainly her portal is really, really cool and dynamic. She has the opportunity to set it, then move at a very high pace for a certain amount of distance from where she drops it, then ends up concluding it, and then anybody can walk back and forth between it. And when I say anyone, I mean anyone, meaning your opponents as well. And that's an element you have to consider when dancing around the portals.
Every game has to have that one character, that one person that makes the flashy plays, that makes the crazy stuff. And if you take a look at all the clips, you take a look at all the crazy plays, a lot of them are because of the Wraith, because of the pure mobility that she has. Both her Q and both her tactical and her ultimate ability provide a speed boost that end up stacking if you use them together as well. So it always ends up to be a really good spot if you can do something over on one part of the map, rotate yourselves around in the middle of the fight, and then go up behind your opponent and be like, surprise, and then they're dead.
Oh, 124 damage. The headshot with the longbow.
He does have the upgrade there to the bonus damage on the longbow for those headshots, which is
and
part
a
of the
wingman,
reason.
man. He is just all one taps here. No spray and pray for Macatau in his loadout.
Able to set him down. That was 82 damage into him in a small time frame. There's a purple stock there for a sniper if he wants to move into it. Decides against it. Ends up hitting one more. And there we see the slide. That extra element of mobility. Oh, that was disgusting. The wingman dink.
On the slide.
I mean,
The fulfilling, we talk a lot, we've talked about it, and we're going to be talking about it all day, about like what things we enjoy about this game. I think one of my favorites about it as well, especially from just the pure kill standpoint, is when you hit someone with a headshot, the sound that it makes is the most fulfilling sound that I've seen in the game in a while.
Isn't it funny though, that is like such an important thing in a game? Like, yeah, I liked playing it, but the headshots weren't satisfying, so I stopped. Like, that sound effect is so important.
I think it's just on a lot of people who play games maybe overlook the fact that, they need to get feedback from the game that when they're doing good, they're doing good, right? And that when they have that moment and a game truly matches those moments accurately, it just, your brain straight up goes like, why is this the greatest game I've ever played in my life? And I would argue Apex Legends, maybe not the greatest game ever, but it's darn close at this point. And it's
at this point,
climbing.
Sure, take it there. Man, more. They're finding the third party here. The longbow continues to rack up damage. Team Pog looks like they're still on top, but Team Main catching up now, only 8 points behind.
There's that portal. Has 50 more energy, and then once it's done, it will forcefully end the portal. He volunteers to do it there for the team.
Yeah, and you see he was actually able to stack both his tactical and ultimate, so what I was talking about earlier, where he gets that much extra speed boost. I'm not too sure on the numbers of it. I'll actually be very curious to see exactly what it is, but I think it's something up close to like 25%, which in reality is a huge speed bonus if you're trying to get away.
So they get the win. 8 squads left. Rolling in on more people.
A lot of spray here. A lot of action as we see him clean up the knock. Again with the wingman. That's that 45 damage we were talking about. It's so reliable and consistent. And having the extended mag, giving him 3 extra shots per clip is really aiding here.
He's pretty kitted right now. And man, they keep finding more people to shoot at.
I think that's a problem that they're happy to have, considering the format.
It's a first world problem.
Considering of the format that we have right now, they're like, there's more people. All right, let's get some more points, guys.
Quit throwing money at me. Like that's what it feels like right now for this squad, because they are just, again, on a tear here. Pressuring up with a longbow wingman, showing confidence within the wingman shooting capabilities here. Normally you'd be like, wingman close range, I might be out-traded by an SMG. Nope.
He's not missing, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't miss, it's all that matters. Just click on heads, right?
Yeah, we know that one clip of this will be able to take out anybody, no matter the armor capabilities. Here's the trade opportunity. We'll see if it pays out, and the iframe comes in.
Gonna just try and bail there. That's the utility of Wraith. Went invisible. We saw him, but the opponent didn't. Oh, dear. They're coming back and forth. Can he get away? Run, Makatao! I'm actually so surprised he got away. Lifeline will use her utility to give him some health, and he'll quickly Phoenix.
There's a Phoenix kit for those of you again that are new to the game. Phoenix kit not only revives your health, but it also revives your shield as well. So it's essentially a full 100% back to both of your setups, which gives him a nice ability to reset. But oh no, his Pathfinder friends went down.
Pathfinder went down, but folks, if you want to know how this fight resolves, go to Makatao's stream. Go check out anyone there on Team Pog. They're still fighting. We'll fight. They're winning right now. But on an absurd level, the kills they're getting are crazy.
Yeah, but I will note, like, that last skirmish, Pathfinder's probably the last one out of that fight you went down. Pathfinder, because of his grapple, can res people way better than your average Joe, and his zipline helps to stay out.
Close that gap for sure, but
So
we're going to take a quick break here. So I'm pretty sure it's up, up, down, down, right?
Yeah, you forgot the AB.
Yeah. Okay, so folks, we're back here. We're going to be jumping in with Team Nordics. The captain of Team Nordics, Forsen. It's a pretty big name in the European scene. What do you know about Forsen?
You know, his fans are a level of troll that honestly is honorable.
They're pretty crazy. They're very loyal to their man as well. Let's get to meet Forsen.
Rain fire! That's what I'm talking about, man!
Two dead.
Oh my god.
So we've been talking about wingman shots. Holy wingman. Forsen lighting them up. Here's all of Team Nordics. See Forsen up there on the top.
Batman probably feels really bad about that.
No, you know. He'll get over it. He's Batman.
So this is what we're seeing. We're talking about the
finish.
finishers.
Bam!
Oh, it's so fulfilling.
So satisfying, and the biggest thing there is you waste, no ammo. I think it's going to be time sensitive, like a little bit better than going the punching route, so they don't have the opportunity to be able to crawl away. But it's a bold move at this stage of the game, especially considering where he is at right now. Right, with the airway, we know that it's a very dense, high action area, and he's kind of out in the open. But Forsen makes it out.
So now he gets an opportunity to get himself loaded up. They find themselves in the airbase yet again, talking about it a little bit earlier, how airbase, you have that opportunity to loot yourself up. You can go in a bunch of different directions because it's on the far western side of the map, so he's got an opportunity, got a wingman and a flatline. He's sitting on a heavy ammo loadout.
Shotgun would be nice in this tempo. Let's go, boys.
That's one thing that I think is very important to talk about, because I've been talking about the clip size and some of the ammo circumstances that can happen there. It's also important to consider ammo type just when looking at your loadout overall. Ammo can be very hard, especially to find when you're looking at things like energy ammo. It's very, very limited. And so going with a double heavy, I'm not going to say that it's not a misplay or anything, but you have to be considering that at all points throughout the gameplay. Because if all your team's sitting on heavy, you're probably not going to have the shots when it really matters.
Forsen, his Bloodhound teammate, ended up going down, so luckily he does have a scope onto that flatline. Switched it over to single fire for a second, but actually now he's saying, you know what, buddy, I don't care about you. I'm going to go give me some loot.
I bet Kola's got him. I bet he'll revive him. We'll be just fine.
Maybe. Yeah, there he goes. He ends up getting it there.
Surely they're not just bailing on him. Poor Orb.
As you see, the inventory management coming through by Forsen here. Big thing to point out, I don't actually remember the full name of the star, but it is interesting in the fact that it sticks to territories. Arcstar, there we go. And it sticks to a region. It can stick to a character as well. For anybody who hasn't seen it, it's actually really cool. You can send it on a Pathfinder because there's no allies, so you can literally throw them in there to be a moving sticky for you. And it's a huge disable. So just like one of the other elements that exists when it comes to zone control and AoE abilities.
I just like it because as someone that played the old school Halo, I get sticky grenades back. Honestly, regardless of what it does, the first time I saw it and I accidentally hit an enemy with it and it stuck to them, I was like, okay, I like this. It's pretty cool.
100% in the same boat for me. I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I have a Halo sticky. My life is so happy. And I love the utility of it.
Oh, now I'm running better.
Especially around some of, I think, the class playmaking capabilities as time moves on. Some of the creativity around those skills are going to be really cool to keep an eye on here. But there is another balloon redirect, a little bit more aggressive and kind of center focused here when it comes to the repositioning over towards, I believe, again, the Cascades.
And they were already in circle, so they're just playing aggressive, trying to get as many kills as possible. Thinks about picking up the Devotion, decides not to. The Devotion is just the best weapon for clearing corners. You start pre-firing and you just walk around the corner and it's like I'm doing so much damage.
You don't even have to go around the corner if you have a turbocharger hop up on it as well. And then it reduces the wind-up time and you're essentially just full Gatling gun on these guys.
Yeah, for me, when it comes to weapons of that style, I'm more of a Spitfire guy. It is heavy ammo, right? Yeah. And that's why I kind of like it.
Don't tell me that way.
I know. I'm a dirty Spitfire.
I don't know, man. Spitfire's pretty great stuff, though. What was it? You and I were the other night. We got to the end game, and I was like, "Do you have any ammo?" I'm running Spitfire. You're like, "Oh crap, I'm running Spitfire too." Yeah. Those things eat ammo alive, so you can only really have one or two on the team before it gets bad.
So I really like this area that they ended up hard roading over to. I think it's probably my favorite kind of aesthetic area of the map as a whole, because there's essentially 3 levels that you can go on, but more importantly, they actually kept the buildings. The designers decided to keep the buildings wide open in a lot of these kind of huts. They didn't make it kind of one way in, one way out, because it's this really cool opportunity where you can still throw artillery strikes, you can still do those opportunities where those abilities from the legends can still go into there. So it's a pretty cool little design feature that I think they have.
The map is honestly, I think, the kind of the sleeper carry for Apex. So many of the battle royales, you run into situations where it's like, oh, the circle is forcing me to cross this wide open field. I'm just at a disadvantage. It's either take a long time and take circle damage, or run through this field and risk getting shot at. And boy howdy, Apex, I rarely run into a situation where I feel like, man, the circle has ruined me and I'm not going to be able to get the win.
When we started started the show, you immediately asked what were some of the things that stood out to us, and I used the element of pacing. That is one of the most important things to me when looking at battle royales, and I feel like the map is part of the reason that is so beautifully done, right? And you have to consider other elements like the mobility that has been introduced with things like the sliding and again the character and kind of kits. But I think that again the mobility and the creativity around the design of the map are the two elements that make that pace so beautiful. So what I'm trying to say is I agree. It's a sleeper carry here for the game.
So I actually asked Respawn when I talked to them yesterday, like how, like a map like this, Kings Canyon, like how long did it take you guys to develop this? Like how long was it till you guys were like, this is what we want to do. We want to be in the Outlands. And apparently Jason McCord and Rodney Reese, for the two senior level designers, actually made this map over the course of a weekend. They both sat down over a weekend and they were like, all right, what do you want to do? And I just see them like hovering over a computer and Jason looking over at Rodney going, all right, Rodney, what do you want to do? He goes, let's make it this. And then over the weekend, this map was created, and now we have this just beautiful masterpiece of Kings Canyon.
It's one of the most detailed maps I've played on, in almost any video game, really. Like, it is, there's so many different nooks and crannies to explore. You know how, like, in a lot of times in Battle Royales, you'll feel like, okay, once you've learned 3 houses, you've learned all the houses on the map?
Yeah.
I don't really get that same sense here, you know?
No, I completely agree. I think that when it comes to the structures itself and knowing the layouts and the ways to approach some of the fights, it is very different in kind of dynamic here. As the Spitfire coming through pretty clutch here over for Forsen and Friends.
He's going to have to really clutch this one up, though.
Yeah, 2 members down, and he's got to get a double revive.
He got him!
Gets the knock.
He got the last one. Spitfire at range.
Doesn't have any tools on Wraith to get a free res here, but I think because of the dominance being displayed, they're going to be all right and be able to make it out in this situation here.
1 second, we got this.
Get the revives off. Go check in team. This was Apex Tosis.
Apex Tosis?
Currently doing the draft. This is a big difference from Apex to every other battle royale. When you load in, instead of going and sitting on an island waiting for people to show up, you actually draft your team comp. Which looks like they went with a Wraith, and is this them? This is them. So they went with the Bloodhound, the Wraith, and the Bangalore as they get announced as champions of the lobby.
I think a lot of people, when the first, couple of days of Apex Legends, automatically kind of leaned in towards the Bangalore Bloodhound combo. Because Bangalore, she has a lot of mid-game pressure and skirmish capabilities that I think a lot of characters struggle into due to if she gets scouted, she gains a high amount of mobility that essentially allows her to reposition to any skirmish immediately. Along with the double smoke capabilities, it just helps her with mid-game team fighting capabilities and repositioning around here. And so having that smoke and then being able to see through it, I feel like a lot of people like it. But then the Wraith with the portal and the teleport there, I feel like this is a nice balance of being very offensive and aggressive with the comp, but then being able to teleport all around there with that Wraith.
Rolling on in here to artillery. Nice high loot area. A lot of great terrain to work around as well.
So that's something else that I think is really cool about this game is when you show up to a named location, it actually lets you know what level of loot is there. So if you actually look at the top left of the screen, you'll see that it'll say high tier loot, it'll say mid tier loot, which kind of gives you this opportunity to kind of make a conscious decision of, all right, how long do I actually want to stay and hang out here? Is there something I need? Because if you have all common level attachments or something like that, maybe you don't want to hang out here too long and try to go through the buildings to find extra loot because nothing that's there is actually something you need.
Yeah, that is a really good point to be able to have and allows even more, essentially kind of like we were talking about before, some of the elements of, make it a smart choice for the player and less around like the RNG elements or questioning like, is this going to be the right choice? You clearly know like, okay, at this point in time that I shouldn't be hanging out here, that I can be way more mobile and setting up for those later stages.
There's Team Apex Tosis here. We're currently watching Lolito, who has been bouncing back and forth between Bloodhound and Lifeline. His teammates Rubius and Xysma have been playing, respectively, Wraith and Bangalore all day. So if you're looking for a Bangalore stream, check out Xysma.
I do want to give a lot of credit to who we're seeing on the screen right now because when you actually have players that are good at video games and have this this keyboard mouse camera, it adds so much value to you as not only as a player because you can analyze it, but just from the pure entertainment value because you can take a clip, you can take a look back and look and see how their hands are moving when they're able to get something like a full squad wipe. And it's one of the coolest features that they're able to add and just kind of speaks to the extra level and the extra step that a lot of these streamers are willing to go to add that entertainment value to their streams.
Yeah, and it doesn't take up that much screen space either. I like how he's got it kind of built into his overlay off to the side, so well designed look here from Lolito.
Nice and clutch fit there as well between, you know, the mini map and the rest of the UI in the game. I like the setup there.
Yep.
One thing to consider with this drop, though, that we have gotten, it is a little isolated from the rest of the map, right? It is one of the kind of corners, if you will, here, or at least on the edge of the sphere of the map itself. So if you end up getting a solo drop here, once you finish out the loot, which at this point it seems like the squad very much has, it's likely that you aren't going to run into anybody. If they aren't dropping with you, you got to go for a high-pressure zone after that point. And we still got 2 minutes out before that first ring closes in.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And just as we say that, though, on cue.
Yeah, on cue.
We find somebody, but I think that's a really good point, Dreadnought, is that when you put yourself in a situation where you jump far, which I think these guys have to do, is they want a higher chance of winning because they want to get extra loot, you're not going to find somebody. And in a format like this on Twitch Rivals, if you're not popping heads, you're not going to be getting those points because then if you end up going down, it's, there he goes, flop over, Peacekeeper, face, goodbye.
A switch and pop. Now, we're watching Lolito here, and we're seeing these little icons that look like footprints popping up on the ground. What does that mean? What is that? We haven't seen that yet today.
So that's part of Bloodhound. So Bloodhound's passive is that he actually can track the footprints of his enemies and try to get a little piece of knowledge of where they are. Now that coincides with him as a tracker. If you actually go back and look into the Bloodhound lore, that's simply what they are. There's these mercenaries, there's these killers that have the ability to track their prey through whatever it is in the Outlands, and they're able to bring it to this game, and it has a lot of synergy with the other characters too.
Yeah, it really does. The fact that you can keep that path and like keep track of where the opponents are, when you see that like 40 seconds ago, but you actually had no information that anybody was there in the first place, you start feeling extremely kind of like in an advantageous circumstance whenever you are on that Bloodhound.
Now, we're going to go jump back in here with Team Main for a moment, who just put up a 29-kill game. They're gunning for that top spot, trying to take it away from Team Pog.
And look at who we got on that top. It's Chocotaco. It is definitely a fan favorite over in Europe. He has a very avid fan base.
Biggest French streamer, safe to say?
Really? I think that's so. I think so. I mean, he's got something like, almost 900,000 on Twitter. He's got even more when you take a look at his Twitch numbers. And if you want to talk about a grinder, if you want somebody that you can pop up on your screen while you're at work, while you're at home, and that's always going to be live and you always can rely on, it's Chocotaco. Because he's always there, he's always grinding. And since Apex Legends has come out, he has been non-stop playing this game.
God, yeah, I love he has his own logo on a hat. You want to talk about branding, folks? Look, got 2 logos right there in your face, and I think a third one pops up every time the notifications pop up above his head, so full integration.
I want to know what his move left is. A is his keybinding for his cast.
Oh, does he play on arrow keys, maybe?
I don't know, but all I know is he has to. I was like, well, then he just moved over a set, and then but he hasn't, because his E is his ultimate, which means that would be his move forward. He has a very interesting keybinding circumstance. Maybe I'm weird for noticing that.
Everybody that's in the chat right now, go to Chocotaco's stream and ask him, show me your keybinds, because now that's the only thing that I care about.
Or can Chocotaco's regular viewers just tell us, because surely they
actually that'd probably be They
already probably know.
I want to be Mr. Steal Your Keybinds over here.
Yeah. Going for the long-range shots on the hemlock, a burst rifle. Haven't seen a burst rifle today.
I want to point out the mechanic that's coming to life here, in-game right here. He is out of bounds, quote-unquote, but he has a 30-second time advantage where he can actually sit here, poke and prod, see if he gets a knock, and then drop down. This is a mechanic that I personally feel like for Pathfinders is a huge element to keep track of. And I always, if you're an opponent shooting at somebody with that huge high ground, no, 30 seconds and they will no longer be there.
So, Wavepunk, as the representative on this couch for the one that dies to inanimate objects. Do you know that if you die on the 30-second timer, if your teammates end up getting your respawn banner?
I do not, but I would guess yes. If they give it to you when you fall off the map, surely they give it to you when you die anywhere else.
I can see the face of anger that you're giving right now. I love you so much.
That waterfall is deceptive. It looks like there's ground underneath it, and then there's not. You're just in the dirt.
To take a little responsibility away from you, Wavepunk, I will admit I almost died as Pathfinder Pathfinder trying to make the bunker jump over top of the bunker with my ultimate, my Q to run over that area out of bounds, and to get across that almost took me 30 seconds. I barely dashed off before it, so I actually don't know yet either.
To give you even a little bit more hope on stupid things that people on this couch do. The first time I played Pathfinder, I thought that his zipline ability was so cool that I threw it to the top.
Yeah.
And because this game is such a physics momentum-based game, I went full sprint on the zipline, jumped off thinking I was going to be cool, and I didn't land, went over the edge of the map, immediate death.
Wow. Well, here's the standings right now. Pog still up on top, actually pulling away a little bit. Sounds like they've been getting some crazy kills again. We saw them right before we went to the break. They were racking up some massive kills as well. So Team Main trying to close the gap, but Pog making it hard on him. I'm back over here with Mikolau. I see Mikolau a lot. The thing I always love about Mikolau's stream is how bright and yellow everything is. Very few streamers actually choose yellow as a brand color. He's one of the few, and it's always so vibrant. I love it.
It's got that like shiny, slick feeling to it too. So it's not just like in-your-face yellow. It's like a sleek yellow. So it adds that kind of level of like class.
I think I call it bumblebee yellow, like at least a little bit. It's pretty close.
That's a really good. It's a really good explanation.
Like, it feels like it's got just that bumblebee tone to it, you know, not the insect, but our probably, you know, favorite or least favorite transformer, depending on who you are.
So we have a really good opportunity, actually, to see kind of what the late game strategy of this team is in this instance, because there's 11 players left alive. Of those 11, 3 of them are their own team. So technically 8 players, 3 other squads left alive. And now we kind of get to see what are their late rotations going to be like, because they find themselves in, I believe this is round 2.
We'll check back in here with Team Main right now. We're going to go jump in with Salty Sandwich. They are towards the end of their game. See if they can pull it off. They're a little bit lower in the rankings. We'll see if they can get the win.
Yeah, I was going to say,
back up.
Last time we tuned in with them, they struggled in the mid game for sure. So we'll see if that's something that's, you know, a little bit different here. But I do believe dropping a little bit later into the stages of this round here with 8 squads going to remain.
And they got a Spitfire, so they win, right?
You know, much like every other gun, it's like you want to say that, but at the end of the day, it's really, can you get the click right, you know, and keep up with that micro, the level necessary. The wingman not coming as profitable as maybe it was for Forsen here.
Using this little wall to his advantage. Duck away, reload out of sight.
It's a hard spot for him, too, because he's committed to the wingman. He doesn't have any sort of zoom optics, so he's got to make sure that he gets that reticle where he needs to be. Gonna pop himself a shield cell.
Mayo got 1. Mayo gets 2.
Oh, bold move to move up there, but ends up taking the damage, see if it pays off.
What was that?
Communication really heavy between all 3 of these players right now.
I'd be down to just listen in and hear how their comms are going. See how this team's thinking.
Kan det med døren?
Kom op. Bin jetzt also mega low, aber...
Hab ihn.
Nice.
Down 1 squad.
There's something beautiful about the fact that even when you don't speak the language, that you almost feel like you know what's going on. Right? Like when the knock comes in, the noise comes in, it's, you know, a small celebration.
I had to do a double take real fast. It sounded like she said Mikolau. And I was like, are they fighting Mikolau? That would be the craziest thing if we cut over to this fight and it happened to be the people we were just watching. But there is always the chance of that happening here in Twitch Rivals as well. These guys are just queuing up. Eventually, we'll probably get 2 teams that are in the same game, and maybe they'll run into each other.
Yeah, nothing is more perfect than a broadcast like this where you're entering a public lobby and you're able to get people that are competing against each other in the same lobby.
Especially because with the whole champion thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you load it and be like, oh, they're in this lobby. Okay. Here we go.
It's pretty much the only way I've ever discovered if I have anybody, you know, significantly better than me in the game is that because those streamers usually are your champions.
Yeah, they're usually winning.
Well, and you've also got the thing now where you actually on your banner can put those different categories and you load into a game and you see somebody, I've had 750 kills on Caustic. And you're like, well, there you go, guys. It's the end of the game.
I've got 200 kills total.
Yeah. I just flagged grapple distance because that's all that matters for my beautiful Pathfinder.
I have fully committed. So one of my tags is kills as team leader as Mirage, and it is still 0 because I am purposefully keeping it on 0. So now every time that I'm the jump master, I give it to somebody else. So that way I make sure that I don't ever get a kill as team leader on Mirage, and that's going to be the weird quirk that I think I've decided to do.
It's a weird flex, but cool. All right. I'll rock with it.
I just want to know, at what point are you going to get good enough that people will go, oh, I know he's intentionally keeping that 0. I'm intimidated. Like, that's a level of...
No, but that's the thing. You're never going to know because I don't know if I'm ever going to get that good. They're gonna be, but it's the intimidation factor. Oh, no, this guy doesn't ever get kills as a team leader. Surprise!
Do you think that's a heart rate monitor down in the corner? Is this, the number's changing drastically?
No, that's FPS counter.
That's FPS, okay.
Yeah, definitely FPS counter.
It's the G-force.
He does have a really helpful timer there for us. Let us know how much is left in his Twitch rivals competition.
One thing we haven't highlighted was we know about Caustic's traps, but what about his ultimate, right? Because it's a little bit different than some of the rest. We do know that all of the AoE nuke are kind of thrown like a grenade.
Hold on, I just want to point out Team Main past Team Pog by 1 point. Right now they're in the lead. Go back to your Caustic description, please.
Yeah, and so it's just a grenade, and it's kind of like his traps in the fact that it releases the poison. It's just a voluntary long-range one that you can kind of dish out there. It's zone control. It's very, very effective. It does a little bit of damage, more so, I actually believe, than the traps themselves. But it's mainly there for the utility and the information that Caustic's able to gain.
It works really well as a zoning tool as well. I think that's something that, and I think Caustic is actually one of the legends that players have underutilized the most. You've got the flashy plays, but I think because the game is so new and because Caustic's where his barrel placements are and when he decides to use his smokes is actually the hardest thing about him. Making sure that you're set up early because of a game like Apex Legends and that it is a battle royale, you're forced to rotate around a lot.
Yeah.
If players can find a way to get themselves in an advantageous position or a solid camp spot early and use his barrels, everybody has a story already about how difficult it is when you find yourself in a situation where there's a lot of Caustic barrels. And I think that he's going to be one that will rise in popularity once players start actually figuring out how to utilize those barrels better.
Yeah,
this third party's going pretty well right now, but we're going to go jump in right now again. These guys are all live. Go check in with Salty Sandwich if you want. We're going to check in with Mickey, Trimax, and Hanky, whose team name is Die Drei Hagilin Konige 07. That's my best German impression. It's probably horrible.
It sounded like a British royalty.
I was
sort of, but I'm just sorry, I don't know.
I didn't get German out of that, but I was impressed with the twang you threw on that, man. Like, you definitely had some culture that I didn't expect.
You gotta be confident, man. You just gotta go for it, even if you're wrong.
You are from Texas.
Mickey's got some great reactions, by the way. If you want a streamer who like reacts well to things, just go to Mickey's stream here, MCKY. You can check out his top clips. There's some wonderful stuff.
I'm sorry, that Texas goal got me, man. That was really good.
You have 2 rednecks on the couch.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Digital Threat was picked up. Actually, a full kitted Prowler here, which is a rare thing to be able to see. You can find fully legendary weapons across the board. It doesn't get any better than that. I will say Prowler is not necessarily my highest tier out of all of them, but it's not shabby whatsoever. A very good SMG.
I don't know, when you put that thing on.
I'm about to say, man, select fire receiver on a Prowler is terrifying.
You are right. I'm not thinking about that. Once you get the select fire, I feel like the Prowler becomes, a little bit more in my realm. It's one of those guns that I go like, I know this is good, but I just suck with it, so I'm gonna keep dishing on it.
I also think though, you do make a good point though about how you need the select fire receiver for the gun to be good, which makes you have to create a decision within yourself of, okay, do I want to keep this gun?
Yeah.
And do I want to wait until I find a select fire receiver and give up something more reliable like an R301 or a carbine or whatever it may be, and make sure that you have to wait and essentially render it half useless? So it makes a good point, which is I think what is awesome about Apex Legends and something that a lot of these streamers really have to make that decision of what do we want to actually use at a certain point in time, because you're giving up things when you try to gain in other directions.
Well, let's go check in with Team ZF. This is Cyanide, Sombrero, and Edberg.
One on the right.
Some things are going for them right now.
In there.
Go here.
A very distant section here of the map. With a bit of that mid-tier loot to be able to zone off. A little bit of pressure.
24 kill win they just finished.
Oh, wow. Only 13 squads going to remain in this one, but judging by that fire here, probably not going to last long.
Really good spray control on that R301 as well.
They've been running the Wraith Mirage Bloodhound lineup all day. It's been working out pretty well. They start off this round hot.
It's a really interesting combination. You don't necessarily see kind of just pure ability synergy with those three legends, but they all do something enough of a difference. Two of them with more kind of distract and mobility setups, and then you have Bloodhound, which is just great at tracking individuals. So it definitely gives you an opportunity for a little bit more of the flashy plays. And I mean, when you're able to secure yourself a 24 kill win, it definitely adds an extra value.
We can theory craft a lot of team comps and stuff, and it's always fun to think about those things, but we are still so early in this game.
Yeah,
right now it's like, who are you good at? Play who you're good at, and you'll most likely win. So I bet they're just thinking, they're just picking, they're all on their Pathfinder, you know?
Yeah.
They're on the guy they like.
And I think it varies a little bit too, considering within this format that we do have kills being so relevant.
Is this a Twitch onesie he's wearing?
It's definitely a onesie. I don't know if it's a Twitch.
Is it a hoodie? Is it a one? What is that? Also, I love that he's got Twitch chat pulled up on this like camera over here.
I think that's the Twitch onesie that he just has unzipped. It looks like it.
You're probably right. I just want to believe it's all.
At first glance, when we were on that little 3-box that we just had, I actually thought it was a giant Twitch blanket. And the first thing I was going to do is, I want the Twitch blanket.
That's beautiful. I love that you can see yourself. If you go and chat and then zoom in real close on Sombrero's camera, you can look at him yourself, you know? That's pretty cool.
I'm scanning our side right now.
Some good stuff. Some nice lights. A lot of purple going on.
Well, I actually am curious to see what they're talking about here, because they're trying to find a way to clear through this complex, and they're having some pretty crisp communication. So let's actually
let's listen in.
Yeah, inside market, last scene. Nading, get their attention.
Throwing through my grenade. Throwing through my grenade.
Second left side. Near my thermite. They just smoked. Follow me, everyone follow me.
Ulting it right now.
I'm pushing. One devotion on me. One more on me.
All dead,
nice, clean.
Yes.
Clean.
Well played.
Clean, boys. Did I hear something west? Was that you opening the door?
I think I heard something west.
I opened a door.
I think that was Edberg opening the door. Stay safe.
Really good communication from those guys. It's super clean, super concise, and essentially just calling out where things are, and then as soon as everybody's down, it's, all right, guys, let's do that.
And one thing to point out there, Sombrero did a very, very good job of timing his shots, getting a trade in with a devotion early on, realizing he did not hit with the hip fire that he needed, pulled away, that's when he goes for the weapon swap, and then he pops around knowing his opponent is likely going to reload. And it leads to one of two situations. It's either a double weapon swap, and he likely is going to be able to trade up, or in fact, he's just reloading, and it's Chocotaco, Sombrero with a free frag.
And he's also doing a really good job, but as soon as he got somebody down, he let his teammates know. He wasn't getting kind of lost in the moment. He was adding that extra level of efficiency as well to show things. As now it looks like we've swapped over to some difference. We're over at triple digits on points now, boys.
Dude, Pog has fallen again another rank. Only 5 points behind ZF, but ZF and Main starting to run away with things, getting some crazy good kills, some crazy good games. They're looking to add to it right here.
It's actually underneath him. He goes for the straight drop there in the hip fire. Interesting choice. Hemlock, not necessarily the best when it comes to that hip fire. Only has a single and triple burst. Usually in that situation, you look for a burst, but he ends up getting the frag there. Well done. Like, normally dropping from high elevation like that, it can be pretty risky in Apex.
Jump on over here with the Kingsman again.
Haven't seen these guys in a while.
Currently ranked 5th on the standings.
Ooh, I just saw, so Break just actually pulled up the map and actually decided to go for more of the hot drop. There's, when you drop for the first time, it actually shows this little blue circle, which basically guarantees you better loot, and immediately that's where these guys are going, because not only do you get better loot, but you get an opportunity to get more people, because everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Pick up your good loot and then use it.
I don't know. I'm going to this building here for a gun.
Oh no.
He's got so many bullets, man, you can throw them.
No gun.
Just chuck them at people.
It's the worst feeling in the world when you get a drop like that.
Yeah, like where they are high tier loot, you expect people, you expect them with guns, you expect them with good guns even at that point, just based on the kit and the zoning capability there. So if this doesn't net some kind of gun there, all right, we get ourselves a nice Spitfire and a Devotion if he would like.
The two big boys right next to each other.
I don't see anyone.
And the Mozambique.
Oh, everybody's favorite gun, the Mozambique.
Is this where we talk about the Mozambique? 3-shot pistol shotgun thingy? Not as good as the rest of the shotguns.
It could use a little more.
It reminds me of a flare gun. It's literally the way it looks like. It's literally just a flare gun, and it's well, this is what you have now. It's what you're stuck with.
Look at that full heavy loadout longbow and Spitfire. I'd take that to end game. Why not?
Nice med kit pickup early helps here too for this kind of skirmish.
This is also a smart thing to do. Swap out, so you're not using the same type of ammo on both your weapons. Now you can kind of stack between the two.
Yeah, especially early because you're not going to be able to have that opportunity to get as much loot as what you might want. Gives you the opportunity to have a little bit of the split loot there. Gets him a Phoenix kit. Wow. So finding nothing but bullets in the first building. Now he's gotten some luck on his side as lots of loot being picked up here for break.
Mostly just missing armor, and then he's pretty much fully kitted. You can use some attachments too, I guess.
I like the subtlety too of going with the swap over. He's only got a one-time cog on the scope, but putting that into the longbow for these early skirmishes, knowing the R301 capabilities to go into full auto, better at that shorter range. It's small stuff, but it's that kind of stuff that if you fail to be able to do, you know, in a battle royale, you can't get the initiations you always want, and it might be those seconds that you need later on. And I like to see teams, you know, have that kind of a forethought.
Now we mentioned it earlier. They're currently ziplining up onto a ship that looks like it's flying. Talk to me about this ship. What does it do? Where does it go? How does it function?
I think that's the beauty is you never know, really, Wave, until you get into the game itself. It is not a reliable, every single time the ship is going to be here, this is where the action is going to happen. It's kind of randomized there, and then it floats across the map, and then it chooses a section that it is, in fact, going to land. You have the opportunity to airdrop on top of it while it is getting to that location if you would like to do so. That's some of the highlight clips we got earlier in the day. And then I believe there's that secondary that comes in at the later stages that you can focus on, that you can't land on, and you know is going to have that sweet, sweet loot.
Yeah, so that's actually something that I think a lot of players are still trying to figure out is how they rotate with the second supply ship. Because you're guaranteed some pretty decent loot, when that second supply ship arrives, it always arrives somewhere in the current ring that will, or in the ring that will be happening in the next zone. So you actually have an opportunity to go around and go get yourself even more loot in the later stages of the game, which is something that not a lot of other games really have.
Yeah, and you know, I immediately first thought was like, well, if that's the case, you know, I want to rotate to that second loot ship, right? And one thing I just want to, you know, throw out there is the fact that because the loot ship itself is still trying to settle itself down to the map itself, it has no opportunity to zipline. There are no easy teleports up. No one has access to that until it hits the actual point that it's supposed to be. So it makes it to where you are confident that all the loot is going to be max value.
All right, now team name starting to run away with things even more. 29
points.
Still only 2 teams. They are currently Team Main currently has 100 kills already, and we're not even halfway through. So we can go check in with them.
100 kills, or is that 100 points?
100 they have 100 points, but they also have 100 kills, I'm being told.
Oh, wow. You haven't won a single game, but you've got, oh my gosh. They're going to end up with more kills at the end of this 4-hour
If they have 100 kills and 6 extra points, that means they have 101 kills and have won 1 game?
Yes. It could mean other situations as well, but...
Also, Team Nordic has been creeping up the ladders. Right now, they just finished a game with, oh my goodness, 26, 27? 26 kills they just finished one with.
Primed and ready here for another W, possibly. Only got 7 teams to remain.
Oh, and, you know,
hey,
sometimes you go up a balloon, sometimes you run smack dab into a billboard.
Most important thing to keep in mind now that we have one Pathfinder perspective to talk about for a small period of time is his Q grapple goes where your camera's looking, and it's very important to note that because otherwise your angles and shifting your momentum to really throw you where you want to go will be colossally off the mark.
Yeah, because isn't the grapple isn't just you point, click, push, and then it pushes you there. Where you're running actually takes into effect as well, correct?
Absolutely, right? So like one of the best things you can do is like use downhill momentum as you're sliding, grapple something off to the side, and then look far to the other angle you want to swing through and let go, and you also can cancel it essentially by hitting control. As we see that Mirage struggle there, and the grapple to be able to help the mobility back.
I think they got him. 7 kills from Mikolau here. Mikolau has been playing Pathfinder all the way, and the first one to do 100 kills indeed.
Man after my heart.
Chocotaco has been playing Mirage, and Robbie's been playing Bangalore all day. They've not switched roles one time, so.
They're going to end up with more kills over this 4-hour period than I think I've probably got in the entirety of playing.
Yeah, probably. You know, that's how good people do.
It's embarrassing, but it's true. You know, I sit in the same boat.
Why we're on the couch together, isn't that right, Dreadnought?
In the words of the great James Hetfield, sad but true.
It was a fantastic literary quote. I just want to say
it. A literary quote?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing that I do want to highlight that was coming up over Apex Legends is the communication capable without a mic. is a very subtle touch to this game that I think really
system,
caresses, like it makes things so much greater. Not only a ping system, because I think a lot of games have ping systems that are pretty diverse with a ping wheel and capabilities, but then also a response system within a lot of the characters.
If I heard correctly, they actually play tested this for months.
Yes.
Without using comms, just to see, can we play this game just using the ping system? And you absolutely can.
They did. There's one man, Raim Vinson. He is one of the developers over at Respawn. His job is the ping system. And him, as well as all the others on both his team as well as other departments, put in so much work to make this ping system. And I tweeted about it yesterday. Being able to win games with 2 randoms that I've never heard, that I've never played with before, without talking and only pinging, gives me hope for 2019.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I say in the exact same boat. And I think it's such an amazing tool. Like you see there, you can actually thank the person that ended up giving you whatever happened at that point in time. The ammo system, you can request ammo, you can suggest ammo. Like there are so many cool things with that. And I think the most important thing when I talk about Apex here is this is a beautiful fight. Kind of clutching out with that. It's going to be a scout for now. Oh my gosh, so many shots raining in there from main.
So good. There is a slight recoil on the scout, and so his ability to just have that recoil control and be able to hit shot is fantastic.
Yeah, just always pulling down, it seems like, the proper amount at that point in time.
We'll jump in with Team Apex Tosis. See how things are going for them right now.
Goes for the punch over the execute. I understand, but you know, something in my heart always says you gotta hit that E. You gotta go for that execute.
Lots of communication happening. See if they can try to figure out where the rest of these guys are. He's going to try to use the wingman. The Devotion was out of ammo, and he's able to get the pop. And there they go. Full, clean squad wipe for them. Going to be able to heal themselves back up, and they're sitting pretty hot and heavy.
1 sec.
11 squads total there in that group, 30, so almost exactly at the mid-game mark. As you saw, there was that turbocharger for the pre-fire and the Devotion. That's the first time I think on the stream we've actually gotten to see it available. But that is that tool that can really make the Devotion suddenly go from good to great pretty fast.
Yeah, you were talking about it a lot, Caleb, in the sense of you have that opportunity to kind of come around the walls, get the windup of the Devotion, and then there isn't a gun that exists currently that fires as fast as the Devotion, and definitely hurts a lot.
I think it's like stat-wise, it's either that or the Spitfire is the highest damage per clip, right? If all shots go into the body and look towards something like that. And so just those two, due to their large high ammunition and then also having some of the more lethal ammunition.
So now getting themselves healed back up. They are only sitting, 2 of them are sitting on what looks to be coming out on the rare body armor, so they're going to have a little bit of extra. Those 3 ticks of shields that you can see on your screen. And again, another really great UI feature that you have in Apex Legends, where all of the players on the screen can actually see what the armor of their friends have, so they can ping another piece of loot. They can try to help themselves out to get themselves in a more defensive position. A nice little care package comes down, and that's going to be an epic helmet.
And I think, you know, not to be the guy just constantly raining compliments here to Apex, but I genuinely am in awe of some of the mechanics and tools that they've put into the game. Not only because of like how good they feel to have, right? Like we're talking about some of the menu opportunities or within the feedback of the ping system and what that looks like. It's not that they're introduced to the game. It's the level of them being introduced and how smooth they are and not overwhelming. They're very intuitive across the board. Every one of the menus with like a pinwheel menu makes it feel like you already have all these options, but you aren't going like, how do I get this item to do this one thing in this situation? It's very, very straightforward. And that to me is always the one thing that really just makes me go like, you know, how did this happen? You know, all in one great game here.
So now we find ourselves in one of the more fun parts. It's a spot that I think pretty much everybody that pops into this game ends up having to be at. And you have to make a lot of decisions when you get into this kind of ravine area of, do we want to go up for the balloon and go for an aggressive reset? Do we want to climb up the mountain? Do we want to sit in one of the buildings? It looks like the members here are actually going to end up using the balloon and trying to get themselves a little of an aggressive movement, because they do know they need those kills, they need those finishes to be able to secure themselves a little bit of an extra situation with those points.
Because this sits in the center of the map, it's one of the more hot kind of areas as the map moves on, you know, being weighted towards the center aspect, and the high elevation and kind of zipline dynamics, it seems like everybody enjoys and really kind of floods to this zone. But because a lot of the weapons in Apex Legends are not as good and effective at a range, yes, there are snipers, but other than the longbow and the Kraber, the odds of you confidently knocking someone at a very large distance is low. And so I want to see, you know, if it long-term people keep weighing in towards this high ground kind of playstyle in these corridors, or if in fact it becomes that, you know, a bit more kind of skirt around and avoid this area.
Really good strategy that we're seeing from the players on our team right now is throwing down the Bangalore smokes, not necessarily just to get away from the enemy, but more importantly is to shield his teammates so he can be able to get that revive. And instead of him using the Bangalore to revive, he actually used a Lifeline to revive, and Lifeline has that passive where she actually heals or she revives people 25% faster. So really good recognition of the composition that they have and kind of just shows the prowess that they're having here on Twitch Rivals.
Right now, Lolito is one of the only players who is swapping roles at all. He's been playing Lifeline and Bloodhound. We can take a look at the standings. See things where they are. We go check out the team ZF. ZF has played the fewest games so far, but at the highest impact. They have had double-digit kills every single game.
We're in Camp City right now, and they're the mayor.
Yeah, and they are. Look at them sitting in the closets.
Yeah, it's a 2 squads left. This is last man, you know.
Did I see that correctly, that they have 2 Mastiffs? Oh, come on, finish them. Switching it up.
I mean, double Mastiff is very difficult to deal with. The legendary shotgun, some of the highest damage.
If I had double Mastiff, I'd sit in the closet too.
It's only 2 though. 1 person should remain.
On top.
There's the champion.
More wins, an extra 5 points for ZF. So we catch their final moments. Edinburgh super happy about it.
Love the excitement to see from all of these guys, and that's like, again, the greatest thing about battle royales is it's so high, it's so intense, it's so high octane that the second that you're able to see you are the champion pop across your screen, everybody's going to do something very similar to what he is, and that's a yes.
29 kill game. They get the 5 points for winning as well.